able to make it as well?
Good to go.
Okay, perfect. So welcome to our event between Trabajamos and Microsoft Office Experience Organization. My name is Will Moss. I will be your moderator this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you're connecting from. But I want to give a big welcome to all of our guests. This should be a special evening where you'll have the opportunity not only to hear from the team members that have volunteered their time to share more information about working at Microsoft, but also information about working for the Office Experience Organization and the opportunities that they have available. So this evening, like I said, I will be your moderator. Very excited to host you all this evening. But first things first, a couple of housekeeping items. Like I said, we will be recording this event and I will share the recording afterwards. So please keep that in mind. And to minimize distractions, please make sure to turn off your audio and video so that we can focus on the audio and video from the Microsoft team members. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes of our event. So first things first, I'd like to share the event agenda so that you know what to expect from this evening's event. First, I'll give a welcome and set the stage and give you a little bit of background on our relationship with Microsoft, what we're doing specifically with the Latinx community and events like this, and give you a little bit of background on my organization. Then I will introduce our keynote speaker, who is Igor Zyga, a technical fellow within Microsoft. And Igor will speak for 10 to 15 minutes, give you an overview of the Office Experience Organization, a little bit about himself as well, and what he does there at Microsoft. So after our keynote with Igor, then I will introduce you to our panelists who have so graciously shared their time to share their experiences with you so that you know a little bit more about the team that is hiring, what the team does, some of their individual backgrounds, accomplishments, and personalities, so that you can get a feel for the Microsoft culture, and you can also get a feel for some of the folks that work for the team. And I think you will be thoroughly impressed. So after introducing you to each team member one by one, you will also have the opportunity to ask questions. So if you would like to ask a question of any of the team members, feel free to utilize or leverage the chat to ask questions of specific team members during the presentation and during the evening. But then after we introduce everyone, we will have a panel discussion where on your behalf, I will actually ask questions of the Microsoft panelists that are with us tonight to give you a better idea of the Microsoft culture, what it's like working for the Office Experience Organization compared to other parts of Microsoft or compared to other companies outside of Microsoft as well, so that you have a great idea of the team that's hiring. And then we'll actually give you the opportunity to ask questions live utilizing the chat. So you guys can drop questions in the chat, and then I will actually ask and pose those questions to the team. All right, then we'll end the event with an overview of next steps, because this is a hiring event and you will have the opportunity to land an interview. So we want to give you instructions for that and making sure we have your latest information. And then I will hand it over to a Microsoft team member to close us out with a little bit of advice for you as candidates. All right, so let's jump right into it. Again, like I said, my name is Will Moss. I am the founder of HBCU Connect, which is a website similar to a LinkedIn, but primarily for HBCU students and graduates. So historically Black college and university students and graduates. We start off on a relationship with Microsoft, I'd say around 8 or 9 years ago. But prior to that, the company that I started had been around since 1999. And we organically started to help companies connect with the students and graduates of the HBCUs and building relationships with companies like Microsoft. And Microsoft actually came to us with the idea of expanding beyond the online scope that our website represented and starting to host events physically in locations all across the country. We had great success hosting these events, helping Microsoft connect with diverse talent, which leads us to our event today, because Microsoft reached out to us about a year ago and said, hey, we're having such great success with our diversity recruiting efforts targeting African-American professionals. What can we do to make sure we're doing the same thing with the Latinx community? And can we help with that? Because we have a small part of our community that is Latino or Latinx. I have personal ties or roots within the Latinx community as well. My kids are half Latino, and I felt very passionate about the opportunity to help Microsoft not only bring in African American talent, but also bring in Latinx talent. So that brings us to what we're doing today. We've hosted several Latinx events. Lots of people have already started getting hired from these events. So the thing that I want to stress to you this evening is that you focus on making connections, learning more, asking questions, and asking questions knowing that you may have the opportunity to land an interview after this event. So this is a great opportunity for you to have a foot in the door, to meet some team members, to network, and then potentially land a job with Microsoft. And the feedback has been great from those folks that have attended our events, been hired, and are happily working at Microsoft. So that is the opportunity for you. That is why we are here today, to share this opportunity. But without further ado, I know you guys came to learn more about Microsoft, so let me introduce our keynote speaker, who is Igor Zaiga, who's a technical fellow within Microsoft. So Igor, if you're ready.
Thank you, Will, for doing such a fantastic job kicking off the event, and thank you for doing such a fantastic job of helping us find this diverse set of communities, actually all across the country.
My pleasure.
It's really appreciated. So my name is Igor Zaiga. I'm a technical fellow and director of engineering at the Sherry team, which is part of the Office Experience organization. I'm very excited to be here today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the country. One of the fantastic things about being remote is that you get to join those types of events from anywhere. Very excited to be here today, talk about Office Experience organization, what we do, who we are, why we all think that you should interview with us and join our team. A little bit about myself. I am originally from Russia. I was born and grew up in Siberia. I am used to a slightly colder weather than what we had in Seattle over the last week. 3 days of 100+ degree weather is a little bit unusual for me with my background, but I've survived. Very proud of myself. I went in college in Russia as well. I studied physics. I've studied computer science. When I graduated, I went and worked in academia doing computer science research for a little while. I had a chance to do startup with my friends. I'm still friends with almost all of them. Which is a different story. I then moved to UK and had a chance to work in UK for a while, and then I moved to the States and worked in Microsoft for 27 years. And it's a little bit scary to even say this, but because I do not feel old, so like I think about myself as still as somebody who is still young, but. The cool thing is that I've had an opportunity to do a variety of different projects. And even though I was always not just in Microsoft, but in Office, I had a chance to be an individual contributor, software engineer, working on Word. I built platforms for extending Office. I worked on classic applications. I worked on new applications, and very grateful for Microsoft and for Office to give me such a fantastic opportunity, and excited to share this today with you. And as a next step, I would like all of you to watch a short video that talks about our team.
The impact that technology is having on the world is greater than it's ever been.
Especially in the days of COVID, hybrid and remote work, a huge set of opportunities for us to define how humankind uses computers.
We would love for you to come be a part of our community and enrich the lives of people all over the world.
Opportunity here is nearly endless, and that's why I am part of OXO.
OXO, or the Office Experience Organization, is responsible for the core experience of Office. And that's across these apps that you know incredibly well, like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and tons of technologies that light up across the entire Office suite.
Designers, engineers, program managers, data scientists, we are focused on delivering productivity tools and empowering people to achieve their best in their workplace and in their homes. The office that we are now working on is highly collaborative, highly connected to cloud, powered by a number of different services. It has artificial intelligence built into it. We use data analysis and machine learning for improving the engagement of our customers with Office. All of these modern trends, from cloud computing to edge computing, are encapsulated in what we are doing and what we are driving forward, trying to improve the productivity and the ease of use for the humankind.
There are four main teams in OXO: Calc, Canvas, Fuel, and Shared. The Calc team has at its heart Excel, wildly popular, really well regarded. But that team does a lot more than simply build Excel. They define the Office platform that's used across all the Office apps. There's AI technologies that we're building in Calc that we use to recognize real-world entities.
It's a team which is focused on calculations and really understanding, wrangling, and analyzing the world's data.
We're helping students and teachers and average people collect information using forms and then process and analyze those in Excel and other apps. The Canvas team is responsible for two of our flagship apps, both Word and PowerPoint.
Canvas is at the forefront of some of the product innovations that we drive across Office, with machine learning and artificial intelligence and collaboration across all of the different authoring experiences that we have. Our Fuel team is a team responsible for a number of different missions.
You might be measuring the effectiveness of our deployment in large organizations on one day, driving growth of Office to consumers through an upsell from free web apps to rich apps another day, and then on a third day, helping to improve Microsoft and all of our employees' engineering system.
So important mission for our Fuel organization is to deepen the trust between our products and Microsoft and our customers. Customer trust is a very important part of our mission.
The Shared team is one of the places that we do a lot of innovation that we're going to bring into apps in the future. Our Fluid technologies are a great example of this. Fluid is an entirely new way of creating collaboration and connection between people in any application.
We run obviously on Windows, but we run on a Mac, iOS, Android, on the web. And big responsibility of the Shared team is to deliver the components which span all of these different platforms. We have hundreds of millions of customers using our products on a daily and monthly basis. Hundreds of services and microservices delivering the experiences that we build. Our code base comprises for hundreds of millions of lines of code with no exaggeration, which we then have to build and release effectively every day.
It's possible to have an incredibly diverse and impactful career, all while being at the same company. And it's true, we've changed a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. And one of the things that we like to say is that we want to not be know-it-alls, rather learn-it-alls. We want to have an open mind. We want to be curious and interested and express our ideas as hypotheses to be tested. We really understand that there's a wide range of people out there with different backgrounds, different work styles, different things they're dealing with in their everyday lives. We have robust employee resource groups to help everyone find a community that they feel a part of, to broad training of our employees, to simply talking about inclusion as a core part of who we are as a company and about the culture that we want to create.
We need to obviously represent the audience that we are trying to empower. And so we operate in a number of different countries. It is all about bringing a diverse set of people and diverse thinking together to build products which our customers love.
The Office Product Group is an amazing organization, and now is an amazing time for you to be a part of it and enrich the lives of people all over the world.
Okay, hope you all enjoyed the video as much as I did. Like, I watched this video many, many times, and I am still as excited as when I've seen this video for the very first time. This slide summarizes a lot of the content that you've seen in the video. I'm not going to read through all of this because there is a lot of the details. Hopefully, we can get into some of this during the Q&A. But there are a few things that I would like to highlight. First, I want to just reiterate that the impact of technology is having on our lives is now bigger than it has ever been. And especially in this day and age of COVID, which is an incredibly unfortunate situation that forced a lot of the remote and hybrid work, is such a huge need and such a huge opportunity for us to really define how humans use computers to lead better lives and to accomplish more at work. And the OXO Office Experience organization is right in the center of all of this. We are a diverse and distributed team. We are in many, many different locations around the country and around the world. So just to name a few, our headquarters is in Redmond, which is suburb of Seattle. I personally live in Seattle. I do not live in Redmond. So I get to cross the bridge across the Lake Washington every day when we work in person. So now I don't need to do it. It's a big advantage of remote work. But we are in California, we are in Cambridge, Massachusetts, we are in Australia, Canada, Czech Republic, India, Norway. I can't list all of the countries where we are. And in the past year, we've set up our presence in Atlanta. And as you see at the bottom of the slide, all of the 4 big teams in OXO are represented in Atlanta. If you are part of the Calc organization, you get to work on Excel. If you are part of the Canvas organization, you get to work on Word from Atlanta. On Fuel, you get to work on security, incredibly important to everyone in this modern day and age. And then in Shared, you get to work on a Docs team, and Docs team is responsible for a lot of the collaboration features when you see in Office. For example, when you comment on a document, that's a feature that is built by the Docs team. And video mentioned Fluid. So Fluid is another area that we are going to work on in Atlanta. So a couple of things that I would reiterate and emphasize from the video. So one is, why should you join us? Very, very important question, and the reason that I hope all of you are here. So we are here not to just talk, although we all like to talk, but the most important part is we would like to bring more diverse talent into our organization from everywhere in the country and in the world. And we think that we have an absolutely unique opportunity for bringing the most modern productivity tools to hundreds of millions of people in the world. We work on iconic applications, so everyone knows Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. When I explain where I work, I do not need to explain this to anyone. You just say, like, I built something for Word, or I built something for Excel. 99% of the people in the world will know exactly what I do. And when you do your work, you literally impact hundreds of millions of people. And with some of our products, for example, for Word, it's actually closer to 1 billion of people than hundreds of millions. And it's just an awesome feeling, and one of the big reasons why I stayed with the team for such a long time. In addition to that, we utilize and work on just an incredibly wide range of technologies. Almost anything that you might be interested in, we either use or we try to be leaders in. So, for example, we build web applications in a browser. So if you're excited about web development, you get to work on the most complex, most advanced web applications in the world. If you're all about native applications, so that's a lot of my personal background, you get to work on probably some of the best native applications in the world. So using Excel as an example, Excel has one of the highest satisfaction among any native applications anywhere. And you do not only just build it on Windows, we actually build it on all of the platforms. So we deliver the same applications on Mac, we deliver the same applications on iOS, on iPad, on Android. So we get to learn this variety of different platforms and be an expert in all of this. We run hyperscale services. A lot of our infrastructure depends on services. If you are interested in services and building distributed system, you absolutely get a chance to work on this. And in addition to kind of some of the most iconic applications and document types, we push the envelope on innovation with brand new categories of applications. So Fluid is a perfect example where we are not satisfied with just the status quo or building one of the most iconic productivity applications. We try to push the envelope and skate where the puck is, to use Siberian analogy of ice hockey, where we see that productivity is now no longer just about building a document. Productivity is about people collaborating to get things done. And this requires different mindset, and we are willing to compete with ourselves and build those new experiences while at the same time just absolutely relentlessly pushing new experience. We use artificial intelligence. It's a big part of the innovations that we do. It actually goes across almost everything we do. In Excel, a lot of the innovation about data analysis. In Word, a lot of the natural language understanding and help people be better writers. By using artificial intelligence. Security heavily relies on artificial intelligence now, and collaboration and Fluid do so as well. So endless opportunity, and you can even look at my example because sometimes people look at me and say that you've been for 27 years in the same company. That must be boring, or you must be boring. But it's, well, maybe I am boring, but the reason why I stayed here for 27 years is that I've done just so many different things using so many different technologies that I never felt like I was doing the same thing for more than, let's say, 2 or 3 years, because we are in such a dynamic environment and we do so many different things. And as Joe Belfiore was describing in a video, one of the advantages of a team like Office Experience organization and Microsoft as a company is that you get to build a very diverse, long-lasting career within a single team and within a single company, because we highly encourage talent mobility and in many cases push people to get different experience because we think that it's healthy for everyone. And then the second reason for why that I wanted to exercise and why I think you should join us, that I wanted to talk about is culture. On a personal level, I would not stay in a place where I did not enjoy culture and I did not enjoy people that I work with. I spent as much, if not more time with my teammates than I spent with my family. And it's really important for me that it's really open and inclusive environment, and that I can bring my full self to this environment and that I can be my best. And they want to do the same for all of my teammates. This is something that we treat incredibly seriously, and as seriously as we treat the product. Our culture is as much of the products that we focus on and as much of something that we apply rigor to as the product and technologies that we build. One of the quotes that I really love from the video from Joe is that we really are trying to not be a team of know-it-alls, because it is not possible to know it all. It doesn't matter how smart you are. Life is always more complicated and there are more diverse perspectives. Instead of that, we really encourage every team member and every manager on the team to be learn-it-all, to be open to new perspective, to have a learning loop every day, every hour when we build a product, when we work on our team. It's an incredibly important part of our culture and something that I enjoy because it allows me to continue to grow. I never feel that I stand still. I always feel that I learn from the products that I build, from customers that we are building the product for, and from the team members on the team. It's really important for us that we represent the audience that we build our product for. We build our product for everyone. And this is why it's so critical for us to have everyone on the team. So people from different parts of the world. You can see even from our little panel just how many diverse backgrounds that we have, and it's very common for our team. It's not unusual. We did not do it. We did not do it on person. If you look at the most senior people on the OXO team, we came from everywhere, and we are all different people, and they really, really, truly enjoy it and think that it's that it's critical for us. As I said, we take culture as seriously as we take product. We have a lot of training for people. We take very seriously employee resource growth because it's super important for people to not just be in a diverse environment, but to have an opportunity to interact with people that have common backgrounds and can share and learn from each other. I'm not going to be able to list all of them. Like the tiles at the bottom are just some of the highlights. So one of them is called HOLA. It's a Hispanic organization of leaders in action. One of the speakers on the panel, Betty, is actually a leader of HOLA for the OXO. She is going to take about this particular group in a little bit more details, but we have many of them. So we have Boxer, Blacks of OXO. We have Action.Unify, which is a super interesting group for everyone who want to be an ally, because sometimes it's difficult to know how can you help people, how can you help individuals, how you can help different groups, how you can help everyone. So people who are interested in it get an opportunity to interact with each other. We have WU, Women of Office. As you can notice, we like interesting names for our group, so that it's not just important, but it's actually fun. And we have GLEAM, gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender employees of Microsoft. So all of that is integral part of our culture, because we want everyone to feel included, and we want to take all of the energy and all of the knowledge and all of the diverse backgrounds to have the best team for everyone and build the best product for our customers. And at this point, I will pass it to Betty.
Hey, before we let you go, can I ask one quick question?
Absolutely.
What is it that you like most about working for Microsoft?
What do I like most about working for Microsoft? Honestly, if you ask me to pick just one thing, it's people. The number of friendships that I built in Microsoft with just amazingly gifted people who are nice human beings is probably the number one reason. And then very close second is opportunity to build products that have impact on real people. Almost everything that I've done, some things that were a little questionable and they did not go anywhere. That happens to everyone. But so many things that you build just have tremendous impact. So it's a combination of working with amazing people on things that have impact and make a difference.
Excellent, excellent. So let me thank you for being our keynote speaker. I really appreciate you taking the time out to share your experiences and also share more information about the Office Experience organization. So thank you, Igor. All right, so let me introduce our next speaker. But if you guys have any questions that you'd like to drop in the chat, please take advantage of this opportunity. That if you have questions, you can drop those questions in the chat, and the Microsoft team members that are here will try to help answer those questions. And while we have Igor, please take your chance or your opportunity to drop a question for Igor. So with that, I'd like to start to introduce our panelists. So like I said, we put together a panel that will share more information, not only about Microsoft and about the team, but also about themselves, so that you guys can learn more about who they are and their backgrounds, and hopefully you can relate and get excited about working for Microsoft. So let me start with Betty Trevino. So let me pull up that slide. Betty is a software engineer too, and works on the Word team within Microsoft Office Experience organization. So Betty.
Thanks, Will. Hi, everyone. I'm Betty Trevino. I am a software engineer on the Word team. I studied back in Monterrey, Mexico, and after graduating, a couple of friends had already offers from Microsoft, and they suggested that I apply, so I did. I then got contacted by the recruiter, and I got an interview scheduled, and so I got to studying, and I studied a lot, and I did like practice coding questions every day until my interview date. I started on Word about 6 years ago, and I've been working on several features. One of my first features was Read Aloud, which is a feature that allows users to read their content, the document content, out loud and have different voices and different speeds. And so it kind of helps them to like maybe write a document and then kind of like see how it sounds or how the feel of document is. Most recently, I've been working on doing a UI refresh for comments, and I've also been very involved in the accessibility space, so trying to make all of our features accessible for everyone when we ship them. I'm also part of OLA, like Igor mentioned, which is the employee research group for Hispanic and Latinos. We welcome everyone, not only Hispanic and Latinx people. We welcome allies or people that are just interested in our culture. And yeah, we organize events throughout the year. Some of them are very small, like getting together to have coffee or just, quick 1 hour career advice kind of meetings. But then we also have a bigger event. Like we recently had a career week where we would have different meetings throughout the day to learn about career growth and to expand our network. So yeah, that's kind of like what we do in OLA.
Excellent. So if it's okay, I'd like to ask a couple of questions around like, so you're a software engineer too. Can you speak to sort of a day in the life for you and some of the technologies that you use on the job?
Sure. So right now, like I mentioned, I'm working on a feature that is still in progress. So one of the things that we still are doing is like trying to improve the way that our feature is rolling out. Like we've been rolling it out progressively and have been gathering feedback from users. So sometimes what I'll do is like we have different tools to hear feedback from external users. And so I'll go and like try to read through the feedback that people have been giving us about our feature and raising that to the rest of the team and try to come up with like solutions or how to better implement the feature that we have been rolling out. See if we can address pain points from the users, and so trying to read through feedback. Also, we have a backlog of different things that we would like to improve and implement. So sometimes I need to talk a little bit about that with our program managers and try to get like more detail into how we should implement certain things. If things are clear enough, then I'll just go and write code for that. I'll also maybe do code reviews for other team members, and that kind of thing.
What programming languages do you use on this particular project?
C++, and that's what we've been using for the past, well, since I started, basically.
Excellent. And so you're from Monterrey, Mexico?
Yes.
And so at what point did you come, and what location do you work out of now?
I'm in Seattle right now, based out of Redmond.
Did you move from Mexico to Seattle?
Yes, I did.
Well, can you talk to us a little bit about what that was like? And I imagine, because a lot of people come from different parts of the country, and in your case, some people come from outside of the United States, and then they move to the Pacific Northwest, and maybe it's a little bit intimidating. So maybe can you talk about some of what you had to do to adjust? I imagine maybe being a part of the ERG might have helped as well. But can you talk through that a little bit?
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely a culture shock, especially because I had been living in the same city for a while. I did had a year abroad, but it was still very different from what I was experiencing here, where I was like living by myself and working, and I didn't have like my family around anymore, and so it was a culture shock. But I think one thing that helped me is that a lot of people from my university were here already, and so they were able to help me out with like the questions that I had of like, where do I take the bus? How do I get from the airport to like campus? And like, where should I live? Should I live in Seattle? Should I live more close to Microsoft? And so, yeah, having that community really helped me. And then definitely joining Ola helped me expand my network of friends. And so it's been really helpful. And I think the hardest thing for me has been the weather. It's just the winters are very long and gray, but everything else has been great.
Excellent, excellent. So what is it that you like most about working for Microsoft?
Let's see. Well, I guess there's a lot of things. One of the things that I really like, and I think Igor also mentioned it, is that we are able to work on products that are very impactful and that are used by a lot of people. I'm lucky that I work for Word because that way my parents know what I do. Otherwise, it's very hard to explain what coding is, and like other different products might be too complicated, but Word is something that even they use. So I think I really like being able to impact so many people and working on a software that is used throughout the world.
Excellent, excellent. So Betty, thank you for sharing your experience. I think a lot of people will be able to relate to your background. And I think it's also good to know that people can relocate, to areas where they might not be familiar with initially, but then go there and then thrive. So thanks for sharing not only your background and what you do there, but also some of your experiences as well. So thanks, Betty. Okay, so if you'll hang on for our panel discussion, we'll have everyone on during our panel discussion. You guys can ask Betty some questions in the chat as well. So if you have questions, like I said, leverage the chat. And Betty, if you'll keep an eye on the chat for any questions, you might be able to answer. So with that, let me introduce our next speaker. So our next speaker is Gloria Garone, who is the Principal Group Engineering Manager on Excel DVX. Gloria, if you're ready.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your day, whatever time of day, to come hear about Microsoft OXO, Office Experiences Organization, and some of the work that we do. I will just begin by saying, what is DVX? Because I know that's a question that a bunch of people already have. So Excel itself is a huge team comprising, I think, about 5 teams about the size of mine. Hundreds of engineers across the world. We have most of our work in the US, in India, and Israel. And DVX stands for Data Visualizations and Experiences. So my team is kind of all about like doing more with your data. We don't do the whole like load save of data and calculation engine, but once you have a spreadsheet full of really rich data, what do you do with it? So, you probably want to create a chart so you can communicate it with someone else. Or maybe you need to say, hey, what's in this data? I need to go analyze it. And for that, we have both some modern intelligence tools and some very, very powerful pivot table analysis tools, and as well as experiences. My team owns Experience, the accessibility experience for Excel across the entire Excel product too. So that's really what it do. That's really just saying sort of my little part of Excel, my team's little part of the big Excel world. And it's a great place to be. Group engineering manager just means I manage other managers. I've been with the company 22 years. I started as an engineer right out of college. Let's see, as it says here, yes, I was born in the UK. I grew up in Silicon Valley, and I got a computer science degree. And while that was awesome, and I kind of, figured being in Silicon Valley, I was already in the middle of Apple and HP and all of these big companies there. I just really wanted to go live somewhere else for a little while. I didn't actually think it would be 22 years, but I wanted to not be in Silicon Valley just because of that experience. Like, kind of like what Betty was talking about, she experienced when she moved from Mexico to Seattle, of just like, I actually wanted to just be somewhere different and have to go through the process of making new friends and exploring new communities and stuff like that. And I certainly got that. I was one of those people, I figured, oh, I'll move every 4 years, go live somewhere else. No, I've been here for 22 years. It's awesome. I love it. But my team in Excel is actually now split. So I have underneath me, there are 4 teams or 5 teams operating in Redmond and 2 teams in the Atlanta area. And so we have work going on in different areas of my team. Some of the experiences, some of the analysis work is happening in Atlanta. All of that and more is happening in Redmond. And so that is what I do. In addition, I am hugely involved in one of the in a lot of the culture and diversity and inclusion driving that we do in office. Our leadership is hugely supportive of this work and really goes out to say that no, this is not just our job. This is not a cool thing about how our team and how we work. This is kind of everybody's job, every manager's job, every individual's job to really make sure that people on the team are feeling included, that everybody can, take the time out of work to go find their communities, to go learn, to find, whatever it be, that place where they belong. And I was one of the original founders of, we have this organization called Women of Office, which is exactly what it sounds like, women that work in office at Microsoft. And it has been tremendously helpful and supportive to me during my career, both just in terms of meeting some other folks that I would not have run into otherwise, as well as learning about the corporate culture, learning about how to advance in my career, and just helpful from that aspect of things too. So in a nutshell, that is me. What other questions can I answer for you, Will?
So you mentioned advancing in a career. Can you talk about some of the different roles that you've held since you've been at Microsoft and sort of how you progressed from your first role and what you started out doing to what you do now?
Yes, absolutely. So my progression, I'd say, was a kind of a very sort of classic natural one in the engineering discipline. I started as an engineer, and I was just that engineer writing code assigned to a random team. I didn't really know anything about it. And I remember my first 2 years were just awesome because I just learned so much. It was, college does not prepare you for the experience of working in a big existing code base and everything you have to learn in order to do that, and everything you have to learn in order to really coordinate with people for long-term projects, and so I really learned so much during those first 2 years, and I was frankly happy doing that in sort of 3 different projects for a while, and then I get to the point where, I think I need something different. And I thought I would be a good leader of a small team. I kind of always thought I'd like to do that since college. And I worked with my manager. It took a little while, but when a spot opened up, I was offered that position. And the reason I thought I would do it well is I thought I would bring this whole, I'm very good at organizing things in addition to being a good engineer. And I'm very reliable on execution. That's one thing my manager has always told me about early on in my career. Like if she says it's going to be done Thursday, it's going to be done Thursday, that sort of thing. And I thought I could bring that to a team. And I did that, but then I got in there and I found out, oh my gosh, I love the people management side of it. I loved knowing and talking to people and understanding why they liked writing code, why they liked working on things, like why they liked fixing bugs or solving customer issues or whatnot. And then, my career just sort of really has expanded on that side of things since. And, I kind of gradually managed bigger and bigger teams, different projects. I did work on brand new things that fell apart and never shipped, like Igor kind of talked about a little bit. And then I remember I had a period of time where just sort of this need opened up, and I ran some of like a big sustaining effort. Several big sustaining efforts for one of the products that I work on when I was in Access, and it just like they needed someone to just handle that. And, that was very valuable too, because I really, it's all about our existing customers and making sure that they had what they needed to keep working as we're working on this big, massive code base. And I actually felt a lot of meaning in that as well. And then I decided I wanted to grow even more. And I felt I could also, get that same experience I had when I first started managing people. Like, well, what would it be like with other engineering managers? And so now I'm a group engineering manager. I have been doing this role for about 5 years. I absolutely love it. I'm learning new things and trying new things all the time. And really, it just helps that it's such a great organization to be. And as both Igor and Betty said, we work on really cool stuff. It's wonderful to be able to go meet someone and you tell them you work on Excel. They're like, oh, I know what you do. They think you know everything about Excel, which is not true. But then, it is very easy to kind of have that conversation, and people have some sort of understanding of how what you do affects them, which is cool.
So if I'm a software engineer, right, and I'm interested in joining your team, what type of opportunities do you see on your team, and where do you see the growth, for certain types of engineers?
Well, so like my team right now, my team is growing the most in terms of geographic basis in Atlanta. Now, of course, we have this amazing new building opening in Atlanta. It's interesting with COVID, it has changed our whole world into, will some people work remote? Yes. Will some people work kind of like I plan to? Like I plan to sort of work from home a couple days a week and then go into Redmond the other days. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. But I mean, I'm seeing absolutely the growth happening. We are doing some significant improvements in our site in some of the analysis work, and as well as in, there was just this very cool announcement about what's next for Windows that happened last week. We're doing some work in alignment with that. And that's just my little part of Excel. There's other work going on, plenty of other work going on as well. But really the growth is in coming in and, obviously you got to have some good engineering skills, but then being willing to learn new things, being willing to adapt and change, because, I can tell you what I do is nothing like what I did when I joined 22 years ago. And I've had to sort of relearn my job, relearn different technical skills, relearn different product spaces over and over again. And if you ask me what I'm going to be doing 6 months from now, I can't tell you. But, so kind of just having that willingness and that openness, I think is what really helps lead to growth in terms of your career. And it's fun.
So my favorite question to ask, what is it that for you personally that you like most about working for Microsoft?
Oh gosh, well, I mean, my default answer is really, I think Igor just said it, nailed it on the first thing. It's first of all the people, and it's second of all the impact you can have. So that's really it. But I will also share one other thing with this panel today, since that was already answered, since that answer was already given. Is one of the things I really enjoy about my work lately is how much I feel I am recognized for some of the other non-core engineering work I do. Like I said, I do a big part of my job is a lot of our work in office in terms of culture and kind of trying to make sure our community drivers are supported, trying to make sure we understand what our priorities are there. And, I mean, many years ago, it was like, okay, that's cool, good, thanks for doing that. But now it's like, oh, no, this is important. This is, people come talk to me about this. It's really important. And in a way, by following my passion, I was always the solid, reliable engineering manager, so on and so forth. But by also following my passion and finding ways to express my passion at work and not letting that go, I sort of created a little part of my job, which is now official, and that's awesome. That's awesome.
No, I really think that's awesome. So I think it's also awesome that you have taken the time out to share your experiences and your background with all of the folks that have joined us today. So I thank you for that. And for our candidates, if you have questions for Gloria, feel free to ask those questions in the chat. But with that, I'll go ahead and introduce our next speaker. But thank you, Gloria. Okay, so let me introduce our next panelist and speaker, who is Julian Argil, Principal Software Engineering Manager on the Calc Office platform. Julian.
Hey, thank you, Will. So my name is Julian Argil, and yeah, I'm from Mexico City. I've been living here in the Redmond area for 11 years, as you can see. I moved from Mexico City back then. And so just like it was said by Betty, I had a cultural shock when I first moved, but it was quickly solved, I should say, because I started building community pretty quickly, and the people around me was very friendly. And so I guess I started in a difficult place because everything was different and new. I actually didn't speak English very well back then, and I still don't speak very well, but it was a lot worse back then. And so I had a ton of difficulties just even trying to buy something and stuff like that. They wouldn't understand what I was trying to buy. But people around me was very helpful. So I had a very nice set of people and the culture at Microsoft that helped me a lot back then. On the educational side, I studied in UNAM, which is one of the bigger public universities in Mexico. And so I come from a public university place where I did initially study computer engineering. So I was planning to focus more on the hardware side. And so I spent a ton of time thinking about CPUs and how to design graphic chips. And that was my passion back then. Then I discovered during my master's, also in the same university, I studied my master's, and I started to spend more time on the software side of things. And I started to see the importance of software. And so I was still very much focused on hardware. And so I spent a bunch of time on things like, for instance, FPGAs, right? So I was trying to design chips, but using software. And slowly I started like a transformation from hardware into software. And I learned or discovered my passion, I guess, for things like compilers and how to do translation from one language to another language. And I discovered my passion for computational complexity. And so I ended up doing my master's degree back then on hybrid between computer science, like complexity, NP type of problems. And I chose one, which is very popular and famous, called the SAT problem. And then I focused on how to optimize the problem with some little bit of mathematical logical mathematics. And so when I was finishing my master's, I was planning my next steps, and I was thinking about continuing just on the academia. And I was very focused on figuring out like a PhD or some program that I could join. And it's when I saw Microsoft. Microsoft was back then recruiting in Mexico City, and they just had set like a shop in my university. And so I decided to give it a try, just to see, just to see if I could make it through the initial challenge. To my surprise, I went through the process, and I was called into a next interview, and then another interview, and then I was flew into Redmond. So I found myself like very deep into the interviews, and finally they offered me the job. And I guess to answer one of the questions I saw in the chat, they helped me get my visa. They helped me with everything back then. So basically, they took me from my university knowing nothing through all the way to the Redmond area. So back then they helped me with. I was already working in Mexico, and so I had to deal with things like accounting between Mexico and the US. Microsoft helped me with that. I had to deal with my English skills. So Microsoft helped me with English classes. I had to deal with my visa, and so Microsoft helped me with paying everything along the way and guiding me through the process. And then finally, I actually didn't have any friends here or idea of where to live or how to even get into here. And so Microsoft also helped me with flights and a location, like they give me a place to stay for a while. So everything was covered basically. And so even though I was very nervous and stressed, everything was covered and done for me. So I guess that's me in general.
So can you speak a little bit about what your team does and what your team looks like? So what types of folks, as a principal software engineering manager, what types of engineers do you have on your team?
Yeah, so sure. So my team is much smaller than Gloria's team, for instance. So I have a team of about 10 people. And even though it's just 10 people, it's very diverse. And so I have people from South America working with me. I have some folks from Mexico. Right now I have an intern that it's actually doing her internship from Querétaro in Mexico. So she's working remotely, like real remotely. And then I have folks from the East Coast in the US. I have people from Canada, and I have people from Asia in the team. So as you can see, it's just very diverse. It's really nice and powerful to have people from all over those places, because whenever we have a new challenge, something we need to solve, in our case, we work in the Office platform team. So what we do is, in a nutshell, you have all the Office clients across web, Mac, iOS, Android, and Windows. And those clients provide certain functionality. And so basically what we do is we build a platform that allows other developers external to Microsoft to build experiences on top of our experience. And so you can have things like, for instance, LinkedIn being embedded in Word to help you write a resume. Or you can have, I don't know, imagine Facebook wanting to integrate into the Outlook canvas somehow because they want to integrate into the email experience. So that's what we do in a nutshell. And so when we have challenges in this area, it's very easy to just work in a way that you think is best to improve the platform or iterate over the platform. But when you have talent like this that comes from all over the place, then you have viewpoints that include people in different regions. So when we're thinking about, I don't know, something as simple as we need to implement a new UX canvas that is going to allow a new experience to pop up. When you have someone from a country that, for instance, is where everything is from right to left, they make sure that you think about it. Like, okay, the experience has to be inclusive of those other regions that you normally don't think about. So yeah, it's a very diverse team. We work on that space, and it's super enjoyable, and it's great to have people from all over the place.
So I was recently building an org chart with Visio embedded into Excel. I imagine maybe your team it may be some legacy stuff your team might have worked on. Super cool. So what is it that you like most about working for Microsoft?
Oh yeah, so I was going to say people that feels like cheating, because that's what Igor and Gloria said already. And then I was going to say impactful products that was also said. So I have to think about something different. So I'm going to say two things. One is challenging problems. And so that one is definitely one thing that keeps me very happy. I have very challenging, tough problems to solve almost every single day, be it technical or non-technical. And so that keeps me awake, that keeps me happy, and basically is one of the things that motivates me to get up every day and connect to the work. And then one that I really like to be very honest. Benefits and pay is another thing that I really enjoy about Microsoft. So I truly feel that I'm properly rewarded for the amount of work that I have to do, and for the type of things that I help solve. And so I really enjoy that. I feel like it's that Microsoft is a good company with that regards.
Yeah, I think that's huge. The fact that the benefits are good and the pay is good, and that you as a team member are willing to vocalize that, because that's not the answer we always hear. But it's good to be honest about that, because if I was a candidate, software engineer, and I do have a software engineering background, and I think that's important to a lot of the folks on the call. So, hey, I really appreciate you agreeing to be on our panel and sharing your background and experiences as well. So for all of our candidates, if you have questions for Julian, please ask those questions in the chat, and that'll allow us to go ahead and introduce our next panelist. So thank you, Julian. Okay, so our next panelist is Lucene.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Lucene. Lucene is a Principal Group Engineering Manager on Fuel Dig.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. And I want to tell I'm super excited to have an opportunity to chat with all of you, answer questions during this panel, but also build a connection beyond this hour. Happy to connect and answer any question, and hopefully work in Fuel, work in OXO, looking forward for that. As Bill already mentioned, I'm Lucene. I'm Group Engineering Manager of a Fuel DIG organization, Data Insights and Growth. That's what DIG means. DIG is an organization in OXO for building data systems, telemetry systems, how we collect the data across all those products, great products, what we spoke about, how we collect the data with very close and huge importance of our trust and privacy to our customers, experiment on that data, and also build the pipelines, how we build out of the data we collect, how we build the insights and empower our partner teams in OXO organization to build data-driven decisions, as well as provide those insights. And I want to tell further to provide actionable insights to our customers as well. That's about big organization, and I will be happy to answer any question you want. I'm a group engineering manager, like Gloria mentioned. I'm leading managers in the team. I have 6 part of my team, and my teams are from the data collection, experimentation, service platform, survey platform, data pipelines, huge opportunities of innovating, advancing, enabling, like huge, exciting challenges of learning, also very fast growing big data challenges. I will tell that it's amazing to see how to build reliable and scalable data systems on the scale of the products, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You can imagine the scale of the data, how to build a reliable system on top of those scale data, as well as power and provide the data for data-based decision. And honestly, OXO is a very big on data-driven decisions, not only on the products, inside of the products, innovation of the products, features. Everything we do keeping data-driven decisions in mind, experimenting our decisions in mind, and I'm super happy to represent the organization here. Like the slide is telling, I'm originally from Yerevan, from Armenia, and it's just coincidentally I'm here. Like the remote work gives an opportunity that I'm joining from my home country now. I was born and went to college here, university here, Yerevan State University. I started my career here, then moved to US, and I'm super happy to tell about my journey in Microsoft. I started my journey in the gaming organization, being part of different part of gaming teams, and joined one of the best teams. OXO, you hear every time I see that video, I feel like myself very excited about huge and unlimited opportunities in OXO we have. I'm leading the team. I'm very big in mentoring, I will tell. And I want to go a little bit on the aspects which has been alluded in part of the different aspects. Microsoft and OXO itself is a huge, not only giving what you do today, but unlimited opportunities, how you grow and how you can learn, how you become better, how you can learn new aspects and new opportunities. And not only it's part of each of our jobs. Honestly, day to day, I'm admiring and it's very happy for me, making me happy to see how we not only learn from each other, and there is so many smart people around you, but we feel it's part of our job to help others, help what we know, help what we learn, what we are experienced. Also feel very comfortable to ask learning, to ask for help through mentoring, through trainings, everything. I feel we spoke about the culture, and I think one aspect that I will really over highlight is the part of the culture helping each other, both ways. Helping others, getting help, and it feels so comfortable. I know that there are so many amazing people around me. Whatever I don't know, I can ask help, and this feels so amazing to know that you can learn everything you want because you have around you people, you have around you culture, that it enables you in your day-to-day job.
Quick question, what location do you normally work out of?
I generally work in Redmond, I work in Redmond, I live in Redmond. Now this is a summertime. I live in Seattle, in Redmond area with my small family, only all my extended family here in Yerevan. And this is amazing opportunity with my kids and with my small family visit and spend summertime here.
I think that's excellent. And I think it speaks volumes to the culture that you are willing to connect to be a part of this event. While you're all the way over there. So I'm very thankful for your time and energy in that. But a quick question about your team. So is your team all based in Redmond as well, or what is your team look like?
Thank you, Bill, and a great question. Most of my team is Redmond-based, but I will tell one of my team, which was a great recent expansion, is in Vancouver-based.
Okay.
Like as a VR, OXO overall is very big on geo-distributed team, like as a very inclusive and working together culture. Now we have a big insights team recently built during last several months in Vancouver, both triads like engineers, PM, data scientists, and like as a huge plan of building actionable insights in Vancouver.
I think that's awesome. So Lucine, let me thank you for being a panelist with us today and for sharing your experiences and a little bit more about what your team does. So for all of our candidates, if you have questions specifically for Lucine and for her team and what they do, feel free to drop those questions in the chat. And then Lucine, if you'd like to answer some of those questions in the chat, I think that would be great. Okay, thank you, Lucine. Okay, so let me introduce our next panelist, and then we'll move into our panel discussion. So our next panelist is David Israwi from Venezuela. David is a software engineer too on Excel DVX. David.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, I'm from Venezuela originally. Lived there until I was around 17. Moved to Orlando, Florida for college. I went to University of Central Florida, and now here in Seattle. Orlando and Maracaibo specifically, they're very hot weather, very dry and flat. Well, sorry, humid and flat. So Seattle was definitely a change of pace when it comes to weather. But yeah, I've been here for 3 years now. I work on the DVX team, which is the team that Gloria leads. I specifically work on the team that works on the charting experience, making sure that we have the right charts to visualize the data that the user has on their Excel spreadsheet, making sure we can provide insight from that chart, and making sure we give the user all the tools they need for them to personalize and make their charts most useful for their data. Been there for 3 years, but it feels like such a short amount of time. I've been loving it so far. And yeah, before coming to Microsoft, I had the opportunity to be an intern in Atlanta, funny enough, for State Farm. And also while I was in school, I got the chance to be a referee and then also software developer intern for a startup there in Orlando. Excited to be here. So thank you a lot, Will, for the invite.
Absolutely. So for all of our candidates, let's make sure we're all on mute. But a couple of follow-up questions for David. What technologies do you typically use? So I know there's a lot of software engineers that have joined us, and they're probably curious how their skills translate to the OXO or OXO team.
Yeah, that's a great question. It depends a lot. With Excel itself and OXO even more, it's quite big. So the number of technologies vary a lot from team to team. From my experience with DVX, we have on the back end, we've been using a lot of C++ and C#. The very old code for Excel is written in C. And then for the front end, which is where I spend most of my time, is between React, TypeScript. And I want to emphasize that's just a gist of all the different technologies that we use. And the code, as Igor mentioned, is quite vast. I mentioned this in another call with Gloria, but I think last year I was helping fix some bugs on the very old code for Excel, and I found code from 1997. That was all in C, and given I was only 2 years old, so it's interesting that the amount of different technologies within the code that we've been able to use to continue building on Excel and the rest of OXO.
I think that's awesome. So you've been with Microsoft now for 3 years. What is it that you personally like most about working for Microsoft?
Great question, Will, and retweet to what Igor, Betty, Julian, Lucine, and Gloria mentioned. To add a little bit more to your question, I think for me the ERGs are feeling a very, very special place in what I consider the benefits of a company. I am an active participant in OLA, which has given me a lot of growth in mentorship, advice from peers, networking for any other opportunities in the company, and exposure. But I think the majority of my growth comes from the collection of all ERGs. Like, for example, Blacks at Microsoft, I went to an event last year where they brought Ijeoma Oluo, which, if you don't know her, she's the author of So You Want to Talk About Race. Very insightful conversation. Also, Indigenous at Microsoft have meetings every 2 weeks, very insightful meetings. And I've been learning a lot, which is the part that I love the most, about all the different cultures that come from all the different ERGs. And with that comes different ways for me to think about my problems, different perspectives and priorities that I assign to the things I see around me in my culture, in my way of being. So I grow a lot from it. There's also disability at Microsoft, where they're huge advocates for systematic change here in the US. So I'm part of the distribution list, which is the group where we send emails, and I often see them trying to change different things that make it inaccessible for groups of people to be more productive or to thrive in their business, in their education. I think that is my favorite part, and those are the type of things that are hard to see in a company before you join. So that's why I'm really glad we have this type of events for us to share that insight for anyone that's interested in looking into these opportunities.
And I think I speak on behalf of the candidates, we're really excited that we have you and folks like yourself that volunteer time to share your experiences working at Microsoft and working specifically for the Office Experiences organization. So we thank you for that.
Thank you.
So David, thank you for being one of our panelists as well. For our candidates, really, I want you to take advantage of this opportunity to ask questions. So please ask questions in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and invite the rest of our Microsoft folks to go ahead and turn your cameras back on. We'll have a brief panel discussion, but I really want you all as candidates to leverage the chat, and I'm going to ask the Microsoft folks to keep an eye on the chat with me as I interject some questions for the different team members. So I'm gonna start out, since we still have Igor with us. I like to start off with a question for Igor and Gloria to answer. So while you guys were talking, so this is what I like about doing the events with Microsoft. So while you guys were talking, I had sort of a meltdown event before we got started. I had to run to the office to host the event from my office because I had an electric outage at home. And usually when I'm at home, I have my 2 computers up, and I have, just in case something happens, I have my laptop up with the presentation on it. But when I got to the office, I don't have my laptop with me. So I'm sitting here connected to Microsoft OneDrive. On my OneDrive, I have all of my work, files, and I pulled up the PowerPoint so that I could scroll ahead to know what's coming up next. And I'm here on my phone using office products that I imagine your team had something to do with. So that's super exciting to me, and that leads into this first question. So this first question, like I said, is for Igor and Gloria, and it's related to when COVID-19. So it's like a current events type of question, right? So when COVID-19 hit, did you see a need for products that the organization is responsible for to either change or be enhanced, or there was more usage of your products? What changes did you see as a result of COVID-19 within the organization? And that could be product focused or even team focused.
It's going to be an excellent question, Will, and it will be difficult to list everything because there was just so much change. So and I will put it kind of in stages. So the first 3 months was both incredibly stressful and incredibly exciting because the usage just went off the charts. And most of my service teams were working nonstop, making sure that we can add hardware to our data centers fast enough to serve all of the usage. And there were days when we were adding more than 1 million users per day. So for example, we'll get a call from a country So for example, Mexico, and I'm not making it up. So we got a call from Mexico saying that within next 2 weeks we are going to put all of the students, all of the high school students in Mexico on Teams and OneDrive.
Wow. Wow.
So and that was nonstop for 3 months, and it was very hard. It was very stressful because obviously all of the people on the team were under pandemic and remote work as well. So like it was not easy for us, but it was very fulfilling for everyone to know that not only they're working hard, but they're actually helping real people solve real scenarios. So that was I would say first 3 months were just incredibly frantic and satisfying to see this. But as we understood what it takes to work fully remotely ourselves, it just became an endless list of improvements from Teams, because Teams is very different now than it was a year and a half ago. A lot of the improvements that we've made in Office to collaborate with Teams. So for example, the way you present on Teams changed dramatically. Collaboration features across all of the applications, across all of the OneDrive, but the common theme is enabling people to work together without being in the same place.
Awesome. That's a really cool story, right? The country of Mexico calls. That's huge. So a follow-up question for Gloria. As Microsoft not only scales with the services and products that you provide, your teams appear to be scaling as well with the location, not only in being focused on the Pacific Northwest, but also moving to the Southeast in Atlanta. Can you speak to some of the locations that you guys represent, and if there's any strategy behind those locations and why Microsoft chose to move there?
Absolutely. So I was very excited when I found out that Office was going to be one of the teams expanding in Atlanta, and I quickly put my hand up to my boss and said, "Oh, I want to do the first Calc team in Atlanta," and made his justification and got that to happen. And I mean, really, there's I'd say multiple different parts to the strategy. Number one, we've kind of been doing things wrong and thinking that everybody and their aunt wants to move to Seattle, because they don't. Really, they don't. And I have talked to so many people since then. They're like, my family's in Tennessee. I went to school in Georgia. I get it. And, and it's just, no, that's number one thing. Number two, the Pacific Northwest, it's a wonderful place to be. I think it's very inclusive. It is not very diverse. If you look around here, most people kind of look like me. And and there's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely fantastic. It's great. I love living here. But at the same time, people want to be near their families, near their roots. And if we really want to represent everybody who's using our software, and if we really need to be the team where the people building the software understand the people using the software and aren't just all from this sort of same set of universities, same set of experiences, then we need to just be great. And we have teams all around the world, and this really aligns and shows to that. So I'd say there's multiple reasons, but to me the biggest one is just like it's very easy to explain. Not everybody wants to live in Seattle, and Atlanta is quite different from Seattle. Climate, culture, the countries you are close to, where you can go on vacation, everything. Excellent. And I still haven't visited because of COVID. It breaks my heart. I'm like, I told my husband, I'm like, as soon as I can go, I'm taking an extra time and I'm going to be a tourist first, and then I'm going to go do my business trip. Because like every article and whatnot I find since this has been like, I already enjoyed reading about things, but now like, oh, Atlanta.
I think it's awesome.
This big.
No, I think it's awesome that Microsoft has so many different locations and opportunities in locations, as well as flexibility. So no, I really appreciate that answer, and I think that's super cool. So next question I want to propose is to Lucene. And I noticed, Lucene, when I was looking at sort of your background, that you've had quite a few different roles within Microsoft. So can you speak to, how difficult or easy is it to move around within the company? And then what maybe is different about Office Experiences organization to other teams that you've worked for within Microsoft?
Thank you, Bill. Definitely, I will speak about that, especially I went through that experience 8 months ago. I want to tell, it feels long. I feel so much home in OXO that it's hard even to count months, how many months it has been. That's true. I have been in different parts of the gaming, which like different parts of amazing teams of gaming. And the main trigger, what I will tell coming to OXO or office organization, I will speak about what admired me during this transition. There have been like challenges or difficult parts have been because I did this change during pandemic, during remote work, without knowing anyone in OXO organization. And it's it's great to look back and tell how great was experience. And probably this is again pivoting to people. It couldn't have been so smooth and easy if I would not even do that without knowing the culture of Microsoft, without knowing that I can lean to the people. I know even people on this call, like that I would get help from them, leaning, helping, supporting, and like feeling home in OXO without seeing many of the people in OXO in person ever. So that definitely has been an interesting challenge. And looking back, I'm happy that I did that change because it was a unique experience going through that change during the pandemic and setting those connections, experience, partnerships, especially DIG is a very horizontal team with many partners within office organization, outside of office organization. It has been a great experience even for me from the learning perspective. Looking back, I got this question a lot, what it looks like to move within Microsoft. And one thing that makes me really proud of how Microsoft cultural values are consistent across company. Coming to office organization and seeing how we are very consistent, how we work together, how we respect each other, how we are inclusive in the discussions and healthy discussions, how we are even consistent of the managements, like as with our really great of the coach, care and model mindset and the principles, like seeing that consistency across the company with this kind of big company, it's really amazing and also inspiring, like with this move from gaming organization to OXO. And there is a lot to tell in both sides, like the great experiences, what I learned from gaming, what I brought from gaming to OXO, what I learned now in OXO, and also navigate back to my mentees in the gaming organization because those connections never ends. I still feel very connected both ways in a mentor-mentee connections with gaming. One thing that I will call out in OXO that I got really happy seeing this. We have like speaking about cultural principles, like how we help each other, how we are inclusive, how we support, lean in. Those are principles, commitments. But how OXO has been like committed in action is amazing. There are so many programs. I cannot even name all those programs, like the fraternity programs, like the mentoring circles, like the management weekly meetings with LT. There is so many channels and there is so many programs to make sure that we have channels to have those cultural principles in action, not only with a theoretical, but in action. And it's amazing to see about OXO. Like I really, if I go through those programs, it's a huge list and it's amazing, have been for the newcomers even, like joining to OXO organization, but it is across different kind of initiatives.
Excellent, excellent. Now, that really resonates with me around the consistency because we've done lots of events with different teams and we definitely see the consistency as well as the outside world is recognized. So for those of you guys that didn't realize this, Forbes magazine just ranked Microsoft as #1 with regard to diversity and inclusion out of all corporations in the United States. So that consistency, I think, speaks to that recognition, or that recognition speaks to that consistency. So that resonates a lot with me. So thank you. So let me get a couple of questions in for Betty, Julian, and David also as well. So Betty, this next question is going to be for you because I remember you mentioned that as you had the opportunity to interview for Microsoft that you really prepared. So what advice might you offer to the candidates if they're going to interview with Microsoft?
I think practice a lot. I feel like sometimes we can get overwhelmed when we start studying because problems can seem hard or harder than they actually are. And if we try to pack everything together in like one day of massive study or 2 or 3 days instead of having it be a couple of months of like every day maybe doing 1 or 2 problems. I feel like interviewing is kind of like a muscle, and you need to exercise it every day in order to build that muscle and have those skills like fresh. And yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just that of like practice every day. Don't get overwhelmed if at first you don't understand things. Like try to, I normally recommend LeetCode just because the interface, I really like the interface and how it's easy to practice there and like kind of keep advancing levels. It's organized in like easy, medium, and hard, and then you can like start ramping up and like moving from the easier problems to the harder ones. So yeah.
Would you mind dropping that LeetCode? Would you mind dropping that in the chat for?
Sure.
I think that's a huge one because I've heard that from other interviewers from Microsoft as well. So I think that's huge. And from what I've heard from other candidates, it is worth that practice and preparation, right? So when you get that job offer, this could be an offer that changes the trajectory of your career and potentially your life, right? You get a great job with a great company doing great work. It can be very fulfilling. So so thank you for that, Betty. So next question, let me propose to Julian. And this is a cultural question, especially considering our audience where this is a diversity event. We have lots of folks from different Latinx backgrounds. Tell us, do you feel that working at Microsoft, you can bring your true, authentic self to work, you know, as a ethnic minority?
Yeah, I think so. I've never thought about it like explicitly, and I guess that kind of answers the question. Like I've never had to hide or I don't know, or lower anything that I am. And so I basically come to the office being my true self since I started 11 years ago. I have never felt that I had to do anything different. I mean, I learned a ton from other cultures because coming from Mexico, you basically don't see people from many places around the world. So here was where I learned to work with people from many other places. But myself, I didn't have to hide anything. I was able to be myself since then, and I continue to be myself being a manager now. So yeah, the answer is yes, and it's an awesome place. It's an awesome place that celebrates diversity a lot. And so I got to learn about Cinco de Mayo, which is not a real thing for in Mexico, but I got to celebrate that here with my friends and colleagues. And so part of my culture is now part of the culture that I see around me. And so yeah, I think that's the answer.
Thank you, Julian. And last question is for David. David, being that you're I guess the newest member of the team there within OXO, what is one thing that you wish you knew before you came to Microsoft that you maybe realized that was maybe something great or something that you could have prepared for now that you work at Microsoft?
That's a great question. And I think the main reason why I love that question is because as someone joining the company, a company like Microsoft, you usually think of it as having a lot of very smart coworkers, very high impact of work. So stress builds up for sure as you're preparing. And I remember I had access to my manager through email before, and I bugged her so much about what languages to learn, how can I prepare for me to have the greatest impact as soon as I start. And as soon as I got here, I was ready to hit the ground running. And I asked my manager what were my expectations that first month. And she told me to be honest, the first 6 months, I just want you to learn. I want you to learn, and like, if you see anything that we should change on that onboarding experience, document it so you can help future people. Ask questions, meet your coworkers. My manager emphasized that it was so important to have that initial foundation of knowing why I'm doing what I'm doing, meeting the people I'll be working with, to then start making an impact. That it really hit me, because I think as soon as I started, I wanted to prove myself that I actually was worth to be hired for, if that makes sense. So it's quite a shock, and I noticed that with other people that have been joining the company after me. Everyone wants to make such a big impact when in reality we need to slow down, learn, understand why we're doing what we're doing, and then go head on.
Excellent, excellent. So thank you, David. That was a great answer as well. And I'd like to thank all of our panelists. So with respect to time, we're a little bit over, so I want to make sure to do some quick housekeeping, and then I'll hand it back over for final words to Gloria and Igor. So let me quickly pull up my my presentation real fast. So next steps. So Jesse, keep me honest here, Jesse. If you want to add anything beyond what I'm going to share as far as next steps to our candidates, I will follow up after the event with a quick email providing you with a link where you can upload your latest resume if we don't already have it. So you can upload your latest resume. We will then share your resumes with Jesse and the recruitment team for the Office Experiences organization. They will review resumes and try to find a fit for different positions. And if there's a fit, then a outreach will be made to you as a candidate to set up a phone screen, and then after the phone screen, set up an interview loop where you will have the opportunity, of course, to interview with the Office Experiences team and organization, and then potentially receive an offer for work. So our hope is that having hosted this event, that you guys are excited about the team, that you can see that Microsoft is committed to not only building out their team and hiring more diverse candidates, but this is a great company to work for. So we will follow up with an email with those next steps as well. But Jesse, is there anything else you might have wanted to add?
No, that was perfect, Will. Thank you.
Okay, so you guys make sure we have your latest resume. And to close out the event, I usually like to hand it back to our keynote or keynote speakers. And in this case, I will hand it back to Igor or Gloria to kind of close us out with any final words of advice or encouragement for our candidates.
Igor, if there's something you want to say, I'll let you take it away first.
So thank you, Gloria. I will end it very simply. We take what we said about diversity and need to represent all of our users very, very seriously. It's super important that we get talent from everywhere with all different backgrounds, because this is what makes us better. And one advice is we all have imposter syndrome, every one of us. So like we all feel that we are given bigger responsibility than what we can do, and it's okay. So we step up, we learn, and we do well. So don't be afraid, be brave, study hard, and you'll do well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's a great experience to go through no matter what. And I just want to say, once again, it is a really great place to work. So if you're thinking about it, please send us your resume. If you have questions, continue to reach out. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you all. And like I said, kudos again to Microsoft. When COVID-19 hit, we had several events on the calendar to do physically, but because of COVID-19, instead of canceling those events, we just pivoted to doing these events online. That shows the commitment that Microsoft has to diversity recruitment. And again, kudos to your team. And thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to share your experiences with our candidates. And to our candidates, I want to thank you all as well for joining us, because without you guys joining us, we cannot do these types of events and have impact. So for you all to take the time out, I know as software engineers, you guys get hit up by a million different people with a million different opportunities. So I think you're doing yourself a favor, though, by learning more about Microsoft specifically. We speak very highly of them and really appreciate their efforts. So I hope you guys do as well. But thank you all so much for joining us. All right. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone and say good night. Take care.
Thank you all. Good night.
Take care.